It's a big person. Yes, a big celebrity. The first time I got a celebrity at home.
2, 1.
Bueno, bienvenidos a otra charla viajera de Achalay TV. En este caso, una persona que inspira muchísimo y que ha peleado por derechos de las mujeres y los derechos humanos en todo el mundo. Así que es un honor para nosotros que esté en nuestra casa, que haya llegado acá. Realmente fue gratificante y una gran sorpresa. Así que, bueno, Lisa, bienvenida. Vamos a hacer la entrevista en inglés. Les pido disculpas por mi inglés y después vamos a poner subtítulos en español. Lisa, welcome to Bariloche.
Thank you
for being here. Is the most famous celebrity we have at home. And well, really, it's an honor to be your host.
Wait. What is this? Oh, we're on TV. Oh, for me? Thank you.
Yes, that's for the interview.
Ayuda a la mujer es buena suerte. Gracias.
Bueno, como verán, es maga, ilusionista, y es una de las partes que vamos a tocar hoy. Voy a leer las preguntas porque las tengo en inglés, ¿sí? Ok, Lisa.
Yes.
Great trick. Before talking about your work, we'd love to know you as a person, and where are you from, and what moments in your early life shape who you are today.
Ooh. My name is Lisa Menna, and I am from the Imperio Malvado, Estados Unidos. Lo siento. And I had good parents, so I had a good life. They never stopped me from experimenting and discovering. And when I was very young, I had the opportunity to be an exchange student, and I went to Finland. And there, I realized my life was mine, and I could do what I want with it. And no one had to approve my choices. And so I began to travel and see the world.
Oh, that's good. Well, our conversations always are about travelers.
Yes.
Push people to follow their dreams and travel around the world. It's a good beginning.
Argentina is my 80th country.
80th country.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
Was there a specific moment when you realized that empathy and human rights would become central part of your life?
No. When I was young, the world was all about me. And I was so important, and I was the center of the universe. I remember being 19 years old, and I was in Sri Lanka, and I made a little magic show in a village. And the people in the village, they loved me. And I was at the age where I was trying to decide, do I want to be a magician? Can I make magic? And do I have that thing that people need to be in show business? And I didn't know. And then I was making this show in this village by accident. I started to do a little magic for a shopkeeper, and the whole village showed up. And they were so excited to see me. And I thought, oh, they love me. I've got the thing. I'm going to be a big star. Look at me. Oh, I'm so wonderful. They love me. And at that moment, a woman came, my age, and she handed me this heavy bundle of rags. And then she dropped to the ground, and she started kissing my feet. And I opened the bundle of rags, and inside was a baby who was deformed. And the woman thought that I could help the baby because she thought my magic was real, not just tricks. And I looked at the baby, and I was so ashamed. I left the village, and I thought, oh, I've committed a sin. What I did was terrible. And it stayed with me my whole life. And I thought, oh. And then I went and I had my career, and I made magic shows around the world, and it was lovely. And then around 35, I decided, okay, I can relax and retire now. And I got pretty bored. And I thought, what will I do with my life? And I remembered this woman, and I thought, I could change that. I could use that. So I started going to remote villages in the world where women have no human rights, villages that have no television, and no contact with the outside world, but they treat women as property. They buy and sell them, and they beat them. And I thought, I will use my magic, and I will introduce the idea of human rights. So now I spend most of my life going to remote villages in India, in Africa, in the South Pacific, and even in South America in some places.
Yes.
And I make a magic trick, and instead of to say abracadabra, I say, if you want good luck, don't hurt women. Ayuda a la mujer es buena suerte. Ayuda a la mujer es buena suerte. And voila. And I have the audience repeat it many times. And then when I leave, I am not the storyteller. The audience becomes the storyteller because they go home and they tell everybody, I saw this woman and she made a rock disappear. And she told me, if I don't hurt a woman, I will have good luck. And the father will say, well, that's not true. And the beginning of that argument, is it true that hurting women is bad luck and helping women is good luck? Well, it's true that if you help women, good things happen in all societies. But the very fact that the conversation is at the dinner table all over the village that night means that the idea has been planted that maybe women are not property and they should have human rights. And I thought, oh, this works. And if you think about it, every great social change begins with someone who presents something impossible, something supernatural. Every culture has it, like Santa Claus. Yes. Santa Claus is this entity, and if you are a good boy and a good girl, you get presents. And then religions, they say, well, if you follow my religion, you go to heaven. And so it exists in every culture that a supernatural being, someone who does something impossible, has a voice, because by just saying, if you don't hurt women, you'll have good luck, the children will experiment. You cannot change a man, but you can change a boy. And they are primed to notice, oh, my uncle doesn't hit his wife, but my father hits my mother, and my uncle's family is so much happier. Maybe I don't have to hit my wife. Maybe there's a better way to negotiate. So that's when it changed.
Wow.
I know.
That's powerful. I don't know how to follow with this. Okay. That was amazing. Really. I almost cried.
I have an organization that I work with now. It's called Cause to Wonder. And we work with the United Nations High Commission of Human Rights. They brought me in and talked to me about the work that I do. And then now they help me. So Cause to Wonder, you should look it up. You should follow us. You should tell people about us because this is important work.
For sure, will be in the description of the video.
Thank you.
Well, you were traveling a lot.
I am.
And travel changed the way we see the world.
Yes.
Of course. And how was traveling influenced your understanding of people, cultures, and humanity? Because with the magic shows, you change life, but also you were like absorbing information from every culture you have visited?
Well, there are so many God stories. Every culture has a story and a God.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how remote in the world you go, human nature is to invent a deity, something bigger than ourselves. And every single God story is the same, except for the name of the God. And maybe whether you bend over and pray, or cross yourself and pray, or clap your hands and pray. But it turns out that all God's stories are the same. And the God you believe in is the God that your mother taught you about. But in fact, they're all the same. And when God gets out of it and religion becomes political, that is when the God stories become a problem, because they say, oh, you don't love my God? I don't like you. Which is the opposite of what all God stories have.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And the other thing that's interesting is humans are the same. Whether you're living in a high-rise in Paris or you're living in a mud hut in a village, there's always a man who thinks he's fantastic. There's always a man who is helping all of the women. There's always a woman who is gossiping about all the girls. There's always a woman who is quietly picking up everything extra. The same characters in every culture exist. There's always a jealous person, there's always an inspired person, there's always an angry person, there's always a person who can forgive, there's always a person who can't forgive. Humans are so the same in every culture, even if it's hidden under layers of tradition and cultural dress or cultural expectation. Underneath it all human societies exist on the same level.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And traveling make you also more empathic, or you were born with this empathy for the other people?
I remember when I realized that some of the things I believe were just beliefs that I had been told, and they weren't actually true. And it's a thing. Because I work in wonder and make people wonder, wonder makes people, I'm curious, and curiosity leads to discovery. And when you discover something, you learn it immediately. I can tell you something 100 times and you just hear it. But if you discover it for yourself, you know it. Yeah. So I think it's important to understand that when you say, I believe, you're saying, we both know that this is not, no one knows, but I have decided this, and I'm not going to think about it anymore. I would rather open my mind with wonder than close it with belief.
Wow. Esto está siendo muy bueno, impresionante. Well, I'm not professionally, but emotionally. What places or encounters left a deep mark on you?
What encounters left an emotional mark on me?
Yeah.
Well, certainly the woman in the Sri Lanka village.
That story is strong, very strong.
Yeah, it changed my life. Well, I do this work for women's rights, and I was traveling through the Punjab area of India, and I was in a place where no one had ever seen a foreigner. They had only seen other Indian people. In the whole 2 months I was there, I only met one person who'd ever seen a white person or a brown person or an Asian person. They'd never seen anything but Indians. And this particular village was very, very remote, and the women still lived in the very old-fashioned manner. They could not leave the house without a man. They covered their heads with a veil, and they covered their faces. In fact, they even covered their faces from their father-in-law in the house, right? So the women were, it was all arranged marriages. They had no choices, and they had no freedoms, even if they were educated.
Yes.
So I was in the village, and I went to all the schools, and I did a little magic show, and I had the kids shouting, what is it? Changi kisamata chande o ortanu nakuto namaro, which is Punjabi for, if you want to have good luck, do not beat or kill women. So I went around and I had the children repeat that every time I did my little magic tricks. And so they said it 25, 50 times, and then I left. And then at the end of the week, I told my host, I'll do a show at the town square so I can meet all of your friends and take pictures. And usually when I would do this, there would be 100 or 200 people in the square. Well, this time there was 1,500 people in the square. All of the children were seated in the front. Behind them, all the women were on their knees. And then behind them, all the men were standing. And I thought, oh my God, this is a huge room. I don't have things that people can see in the back. So I thought, okay, I'll improvise. And I took a stick, and they had me come out on stage. I came out with my stick, and I held it up, and I went like this. I hadn't said anything yet. And the children had seen me in school. I didn't realize that. So as soon as I went like this, they all shouted, Changi kisimate chandeo, hortanu nakuto. And I hadn't said a word. And all of the women smiled with their teeth. And in India, you don't show your teeth. It's not polite. But they couldn't help it. They were so happy. And
you were stronger than them.
Well, it was when you see the children doing something, you can't stop a mob of children. You think, oh, that's the future. So when the children shouted this, and the women smiled, and then I looked at the men, half the men were like, yes, and half of the men were like this.
Yes.
Terrified.
I wanted to escape out the men from the back.
Well, because those men now knew they could no longer hit their wives without judgment. Because people would say, oh, you broke your leg. You hit your wife yesterday. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I knew in that moment that village was changed forever. Usually I do my work and I wonder, will this have any impact? We won't know till everybody grows up. But it also gives women, it reminds women, because women raise their sons, and women keep other women down, not even knowing it. So it reminds women they have something to say. Maybe you've heard the expression, if he doesn't hit me, he doesn't love me. You know this expression?
Yes.
Okay, in South America, in Africa, in Russia, and in some parts of Asia, and in India, they have the expression, In Europe, in Canada, in America, most people have never heard that expression. So it's funny that it exists. So we needed something to counter that expression. So if you give the woman the words, it's bad luck to hit a woman, you can't say it's bad luck to hit a woman because it's too negative and they might hurt me. So that's why I say you have good luck if you don't hit a woman. And so now the mothers at home can point it out. Oh, well, here's some cookies. You did such a nice job helping me yesterday with the wood, and I saw you help your sister. And the women will reinforce it so it becomes part of society.
Okay, I don't have this question in here, but I mean, this example you told me in India, like say, have you been afraid?
Oh, yes.
Because you are,
yes.
you are giving big examples in cultures that are not welcome for like
right.
the leaders, right?
Well, okay, so one example is that when I do a trick, I take a ball and I give it to the chief of the village and I have him say the words, if you want good luck, don't hurt women. And as soon as the chief says it, all of the women go. And they're very proud. And then when I'm doing my show, I pretend to forget the words and I say, and then I look at the strongest man and he says it. But there are some men that refuse to say it.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
The first time I make a ball disappear, if I'm in a remote village, everybody picks up a rock to stone me. A lot of people carry a rock with them, right? Because like we carry a knife or a phone, they have a rock because if there's an emergency, you need your rock. So they all have their rocks. And I'm scared, of course, because everybody's got their rock and I've just made a rock disappear. So I take a little rock and I get a naked child, a little 3-year-old child, and I put it into the belly of the child and it disappears. And then I reach around the back and I pull it out their bum. And when I pull it out their bum, all of the old ladies laugh. And when the old ladies laugh, that is the elder women giving permission for everyone to enjoy it. And everybody puts their rock down. The only people who have ever thrown rocks at me are the missionaries.
Whoa.
Because they're angry because they say, well, only Jesus can do miracles. And they don't even consider the fact that maybe Jesus was a magician and was divinely inspired by God to come and spread these messages.
Yes.
We know his tricks.
Yeah.
Water to wine, loaves and fishes, walking on water.
I'm agree about love.
Right.
Taking,
Yeah.
respect people.
And so
love
he
people.
had a magic act with a message.
Yeah.
And look how far it went. Now, people will say, oh, that's terrible. You can't say that. His were miracles. Maybe they were. But certainly the people in the villages that I have met thought my little magic tricks, which are just tricks, were miracles. So it's a very interesting thing how a supernatural experience creates curiosity and how strong of a drive curiosity is.
Okay. Magic play with perceptions.
Yes.
And what we see, what we believe, what we assume is real.
Yes.
Do you feel that this way of working with perception has influenced how you look of power through our injustice?
I think that people who commit injustice do not know. For example, the missionaries who throw stones at me have left their home, traveled thousands of miles to try to convince these people they've never met to change their God to a better God.
Yeah.
And they're doing it because they love God and they want everyone to have this experience that they have. So they think they're doing the best thing in the world by introducing their religion to this tribe.
Like the colonies.
Right. And exactly. And so that even though what they're really doing is they're convincing a few of the people in the tribe to leave their people. And then when the missionaries leave, the people who change their God, they're pushed out of the society. And the missionaries don't know that. They think they've just done the nicest thing in the world for these people. They've saved them by changing their God. So they're acting from their heart with their best interest. They think they're doing a good thing. Most people think, I mean, yes, there are people that are greedy, but even the greedy people think, I'm doing something good for my family. So I think most injustice is a perspective. And even the worst people think that what they're doing is the right thing. People want to think they're good.
Yeah, well, I used to say we have the point of view. Every person has his point of view because they history, they culture. And yes, that's true. That's true.
Yes. And you know, if you put on a pair of red glasses, the world is sweet and soft for an hour. And then you forget you have the red glasses on.
Yeah.
And it is the way we perceive the world. I have decided that men with tattoos are always sexy. Okay, and then I meet a man who isn't sexy and he has tattoos. But I say, oh, no, men with tattoos are always sexy, because I have a filter with which everything goes through my mind. It's interesting because the nose, the olfactory sense, it goes straight to our glands before it goes to our brain. All of our other senses are processed in our brain, and then we react. But what we smell skips the brain, goes to our body, so that if there is a tiger, you've smelled the tiger, but you don't know it yet. And by the time you realize you've smelled a tiger, already your muscles have the adrenaline to run.
The instinct.
The instinct to run. So
Yeah.
everything is filtered through your brain, and you cannot help and you don't know your bias. You think, oh, it's absolutely true that all men with tattoos are sexy. That's the way it is. But it's not. I had a friend once who hit his head and lost his memory. And when he came back, he couldn't remember anything. But he knew he liked women with long legs. But before he hit his head, he liked women with big breasts, because society had told him that is what is beautiful.
Yeah.
But then he lost his memory of all that, and suddenly his taste changed.
Okay, it seems like you know the next question. It's like, today it often feels like we live surrounded by distractions.
Yes.
Like noise, urgency, endless information, almost like a collective illusion that keeps us from thinking critically. What do you think about?
Well, I think that boredom is important. And when you are bored, you're bored, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then you go and you do something, you make something, you discover something. And now we have no boredom because we have phones. As soon as we're bored, we get wrapped up in our phone. And remember, when you look at the fire and the fire is twinkling, you're absorbed in the fire. You see the fire, and the lights are on and off, on and off, on and off. So when you look at a fire, and when you have a dream, that is the same thing as, you know, REM sleep when you are dreaming.
Yes.
The same things in your brain. The synapses in your brain work the same way when you're looking at flickering light or when you're having a dream. Well, the other flickering light is a video. So when you watch a video, or you watch television or a movie, you become kind of like you're in a dream state, like a zombie, because the flickering light of the screen tells your brain that you're in a dream state. So suddenly you just live in this existence of this dream state of, it's not really real, but you feel relaxed in it. You know how I just have to relax, so I watch a video, because your mind becomes dreamy. So the things that come into your subconscious when you're watching a video, it's open. Your subconscious mind is open, and if you're watching murders or you're watching bad material, it goes into your brain, deep in your brain.
Well, I used to go often to the mountains to connect,
right?
Because now the world tells us that we are connected, and in my opinion, we are getting disconnected, totally disconnected of nature, of another people, because sometimes we are in a table and everybody is with the cell phone, not talking to each other. No conversation.
That's why I wear this. Yes. Because people have a conversation with me. They say, "What is that?"
How that works? Let us know how it works.
Right.
Your glasses.
That's why they're there, so that people. First of all, old women are invisible. I don't want to be invisible. I walk down the street like this, nobody sees me. I walk down the street like this, people say, "Oh, good morning." It's very interesting that way. The other part is, we no longer create. Because you can look up it used to be, because I had been to so many countries, I had so many images in my mind of the way a fence was built or the way a door was built, that I had more information than my friends who stayed home, because they had never seen those things. But now they can get on the internet and they can see them also. So they catch up. But the problem is now, we don't create very often. We mostly curate. We look at 100 ideas and pick out 7 ideas and stick them together, but they're other people's ideas. So the generation that carries the phone all their lives is used to looking up all the ideas instead of sitting and waiting for an idea to come to them.
Yeah, I got 2 kids. And when they tell me they are bored, I say, that's good for you.
Yes.
Because that will make your creativity to wake up.
Yes.
It's good to get bored.
Yes, it's important. And I think this generation, the new generation, hardly ever has a chance to get bored. And when they do, because it's such a rare thing, it makes them crazy.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. But
I totally agree.
But my mother said, you can't have a friend who you've only talked to on the phone. And I'm like, no, he's my friend. But you've never met him. Could be the same.
Yeah.
Could be that I'm just old and I don't see it. Maybe it's fine.
Yes, or in this case with my kids also or with everybody, everybody use the cell phones. Like maybe your friends can know about the places you visit by Google, but they cannot smell the food they are preparing.
Right.
They just can know the ingredients by Google. But it's to be there, to be present is totally different.
And also what is put on the internet is curated and edited and changed and moved. So it's presented as something that is packaged.
It's filtered.
Instead of real.
Yeah, perfect. You often say, correct me if I'm not, a clean lake is a happy lake?
Yes, we do different programs. I do help
One of the
brings good
programs
luck. One of the programs is a clean lake is a happy lake. And the ambassador to Mozambique brought me to Mozambique because Lake Nyanja is the largest freshwater lake in the world. And it's like an ocean, it's so big. And one side is completely polluted and the other side is pristine. Yet they do all their washing and they throw all their garbage in the lake and the lake just magically takes it away. So we did a program to introduce them to the idea that if they continue to pollute their lake, they won't have their lake. And it was very interesting because I did lots of magic tricks about water. I had a bucket and I'd empty it and it would fill with fresh water again and again and again magically. And I'd say, wow, endless clean water, just like your lake. And then I would take a little washing powder and I'd say, we used to wash in the lake. And I'd put a little washing powder in and then I would turn the glass over and it turned to a blob of goop. And I say, we put too much in the lake one day and we couldn't use it anymore. And then I take a glass of water and I bring it over to a baby and I put it under the baby and a big poop appears in the water. I say, the baby pooped in the water. Do you know what happens if someone poops in the water? And then I go to someone in the audience and I reach behind their ear and I take some poop and I go around the audience and I take poop off of all the people. I say, if one person poops in the lake, everyone gets a little poop on them.
Yeah.
Because these people have no school, no literacy. And so you can't explain germ theory to them.
Yeah.
But you can show them that everybody who goes swimming after you poop in the lake gets a little poop. And I tell you what, those kids don't poop in the lake anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that phrase became very real for us because we are a city inside the national park with a beautiful lake.
Right.
Next to it. And when I read about this, I wanted to know a bit more about it.
Well, it's interesting because I did this along the lake. And then 2 years later, I sent a scientist to study to see if there was any impact and the people remembered it. And one of the things that was interesting was it was a particular place with two mountains that had its own language. So it was easy to follow the impact of what I did. So I went to 5 villages and there were 14 and the scientists went to all 14 villages and all the villages had heard the expression by then because the story was so interesting. But as you went up the mountain away from the lake, they had changed the expression from a clean lake is a happy life to a clean river is a happy life. All by themselves. And now that expression exists in the culture.
Everybody who can adopt that phrase will be amazing. Yes. It's always positive.
Right, exactly.
And let me check. Okay, there's any connection between magic, travel, and the environmental awarenesses?
The environmental?
Yes, awarenesses. You were like these programs. You got the program about protecting women's rights.
Yes.
And then the environment,
the water rights,
the water. Always connected by with magic, or
no? What happens is, cause to wonder. We do a lot of programs that we don't advertise. We do a gang program. We do a lot of different things, and we create events that are curious. And when people become curious, they discover. So we create events where people go, "Oh, what is that?" and they want to know more. So sometimes we'll say, we'd like to go here, and we go where we're invited. And sometimes people will contact us and say, hey, we have this problem. can you help the people understand this? And then we come up with a way to put on a program.
Kind of curiosity creators.
Yes, we create, and curiosity creates discovery. And so it's different every time. And sometimes it's very successful, and sometimes we fail completely.
Yeah, but keep trying.
Yeah, well, you know, and like I had a friend who had a program where they wanted to go around and they were teaching people to use condoms, right? And so they would go and they would take a banana and they'd put a condom on the banana, right? And so I was in the same region 3 years later, and my friend said, would you check and see if people are using condoms? And you know what? People were taking their fresh fruit and putting them in condoms to keep them fresh.
It's like a meme.
Well, but you know, that, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a big program for mosquito nets. Get everybody a mosquito net, and they take the mosquito nets and they use them to go fishing instead. And they take all the fish out and they pick the good ones and they don't know to put the little ones back. And suddenly there's no fish in the lake. And people are thinking, oh, we're going to stop malaria with this mosquito nets. But they don't give the information that people need. And then it's a disaster because they're like, there's no fish left in our lake because they don't know enough to pick only the good fish and put everything back.
Yeah, to keep the balance.
Yeah, so once we did a gang program and people died. So you don't know. You can try.
What keeps you going when the work becomes emotionally heavy? I mean, imagine that seeing people putting the banana inside the condom.
Well,
it's like, now it's funny, but at the moment, it was funny for you, or just say, we fail again?
Well, we try again, right? Okay, I see it. I remember I was in the West Indies in the Caribbean, and I was doing, if you want good, helping women brings good luck. And an old man stepped next to me and said, I don't know why you're wasting your time. The Bible says a woman should submit to her husband. So if I don't beat my wife before we have sex, it's a sin. So that, what do you do with that? So sometimes, my life is an experiment. Maybe it will have some impact. Maybe I'm just spinning my wheels, and instead of going on fancy vacations with an umbrella and my drink, I'm sleeping in a bed surrounded by flea spray so I don't get bit. So who knows?
In a world that often feels divided, what gives you hope today? What make you wake you up and keep going?
I think that life is a cycle, and when anything gets too powerful, it has to be taken down, or the balance is off. So the conflict that we're having in the world now is mostly the internet, and the internet is a teenager right now, right? And so I thought, I used to work for computer companies a lot. So I saw the internet coming 10 years before it came because of all the work I would do with them. And I thought, as soon as we can all talk to each other, we can all trade recipes and we can feed each other and we'll love each other. It didn't even occur to me that the internet could be used for evil or to change people's mentality. So who knows? I don't know. I have no idea. I know that people are inherently good. And I know that all bad behavior is fear-based. I'm not going to be enough. My family won't have enough. People won't like me. So all bad behavior is fear. I think it will pass. I hope. Maybe not in my lifetime, but soon.
What does home mean to you at this stage of your life?
Home. I live in my shoes. People always say, where do you live? And I said, well, I pay my taxes in Texas, but I don't really live anywhere. And so if I feel warm and I have enough food and I'm enjoying the company I'm with, that's good for me.
That's a good answer. Because nowhere, it could be everywhere also at the same time. You live in your shoes.
I feel at home here. I came here and it was full. I had to go across the street. I didn't feel at home. I had to come back.
Well, about hostels, do you believe places where people meet, like hostels, can play a role in building empathy and understanding between people?
Oh my God. The children of hostel owners are always the best human beings. because they've lived in a hostel since they were children. They've learned a little Japanese, a little Russian, a little Chinese, a little Bulgarian. So they speak a lot of little languages, and they grow up with such an open mind. I can stay in a hotel. It certainly is an option for me, but I try not to, because in a hotel lobby, almost no one talks to you. And if you try to start a conversation with someone in a fancy hotel, they say, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah.
Right? But in a hostel, it's super interesting. The only thing is, it's harder to climb to the top bunk now. I'm 61. I like a bottom bunk.
Just right down, bottom bunk. And well, just for curiosity, what brought you to Bariloche, and how did you end up staying here in Achalay?
Well, I was in Buenos Aires to do a little magic show, and I met the Buenos Aires magicians. And I thought, okay, I'll go see Argentina now. And so when I looked on the internet for a place to stay, there was a magician who had a rental. So I contacted him and I said, "Hey, Juan Pablo, you know the illusionist Juan Pablo?" I said, "Hey, Juan Pablo, I'm a magician and I'm coming down to Bariloche. I wonder if you have any places." And I thought, okay, I'd be happy. I would rather give him the money than give Booking.com the money. He said, "Oh, my places are full, but I have a good place for you to stay." And he sent me to you.
Oh, thank you, Juan Pablo.
And he's a good magician, very clever man. He's just been to China and is manufacturing this great trick.
Good, perfect. Many people watching Achalay TV are travelers, dreamers, or people searching for a meaning. What do you like to tell them?
Just go. Don't be afraid. Just go. The worst thing that can happen is you decide to go back. And if something happens and you lose everything, your embassy will pay for your ticket home. So you can always say, "I don't like it. I want to leave." People are afraid to start. Once they start, they say, "Oh, this is a perfect ride. I like it." But after 2 or 3 months, there's a low period, and then it picks back up. Overcoming fear has to happen in small steps. First, you travel someplace where maybe you speak the language, or maybe you have the same religion. And then you travel someplace a little more different and a little more different. And step by step, you can go from staying in places that are familiar, where you understand the food and understand the tradition, because religion determines the tradition. And then you switch and you go to Asia, where the religion is completely different and the expectation of society is very different. In Christian societies, we feel guilty, right, about something we did that's we're not supposed to do, right? In Asian society, they feel shame, which is a different thing. I'm so sorry, I've committed a sin, I feel guilty, I say to you. But in Asian society, they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, because I don't want you to get upset with me, because then somebody might see and I'd be ashamed." So the difference between guilt and shame is guilt is internal and shame is what everyone else will think. And when you see that those two are motivators for good behavior, you realize that human nature and the drive to be a good person can be rooted in very different places, but it looks the same. So when you begin to travel, take baby steps and then take big steps. And if you're a woman thinking of traveling alone, do it, because society is always looking for you. I don't know what it's like to be a man alone in the world, but if you travel in a group with 2 people, no one interrupts a group. But if you are by yourself, people approach you.
Yes.
And as a woman, I've been in places where I was once in Turkey, and I was traveling around, and there was this man, he was following me, and I'd see him across the way and across the way and across the way. So I met a group of women, and they said, "Oh, how do you like Turkey?" And I said, "Well, it's nice, but see that man over there? He's been following me." They said, "Oh," and they looked at him, and then he disappeared, and I didn't see him. And then that was in the morning. And late that night, I was in a park, and a policeman came up to me and said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm good." He said, "Is the man still following you?" I said, "No, he's not." That whole village got together and said, "Dude, don't." But then the policeman explained to me, in our culture, he cannot just approach you. That would be rude. He was waiting for you to talk to someone he knew so that he could be introduced. And I thought he was a scary guy. And really, he was just a guy that was interested, and he was politely waiting so that he could be properly introduced. And of course, if a man ever asks me to go someplace in a foreign country, I say, I'd love to go, but certainly I couldn't go alone. So you'll have to bring your sister or your mother as a chaperone. And then if they either do that and it's great, or they don't show up. And I also say, people say, are you traveling alone? I say, oh, my mother's back at the hotel sleeping. I never say I'm traveling alone.
Well, the last question was more, it was like advice for a girl traveling alone, but you already say it.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
it.
An advice for, because we used to say in a hostel that you are never alone.
Exactly.
In a hostel. We were talking about this.
And that's the great thing about hostels is you meet other travelers and you find out where they've been and what is good and what is wrong. The big mistake is for people to go to as many places as possible just to say, I was there, I was there, I was there, I was there, and not to stop and experience it. And people are very eager to get as much things done in one journey, and they miss the nuance. So take your time, travel slow. I believe you haven't really visited a country until someone invites you home to dinner.
In here, we used to say with the mountains, we got this problem of everybody wants to be on top.
Yes.
For Instagram, to take the picture that they are on top of the mountain, even they haven't been prepared properly to hike on the mountain, or maybe they don't even enjoy the
hike.
The hike. But this about like the passport stamps, right? Just people want to show. People wants to show.
Yeah.
Instead of living.
I have such an amazing life that I have always tried to keep it quiet, because my friends were always jealous. And how could they not be? I was having this exciting time. I was a magician. I met Michael Jackson. I met Ringo Starr. I met all these exciting people because I do silly little magic tricks. My friends, they were happy for me, but also they didn't want to know so much. So I spent my whole life making my life smaller so no one would know, and so people would enjoy me. They say, oh, can you make a living as a magician? I'd say, oh, I know a lot of recipes with pasta. Because that's what they wanted to hear. Better than to say, oh, yes, it's very easy. I make a lot of money. Look at me. So now with social media and people taking the picture to prove perfect life, I think that if you live for your social media account, you aren't even alive.
Yes, that's very true. And talking about this person you have known during your trip, your life, you got any funny story to share with us?
A funny story to share with you about
a famous person like Ringo Starr or Michael Jackson, Muhammad Ali.
Let's see. Muhammad Ali, you really did look me up.
I did my homework.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali was really smart. When I was 17, I went to Las Vegas to participate at a magician's convention in a contest. And I really just participated in the contest because I'd invented this trick and I wanted to try to sell it. And I put an ad in a magazine, so I thought I'll show off the trick and people will buy it. So there were 20, 30 magicians all in this contest, and it was a long contest and the audience was very, very bored. And I came on stage, and most magicians at that time were men, because I know something you don't know, look how smart I am, was not considered feminine. I used to hear growing up, oh, don't let the men know how smart you are. You'll never get married. So this was a mentality at the time.
Yeah.
So doing magic tricks was, I don't want to be fooled by a woman. So it was terrible. And so when I came out on stage, everybody went, oh, look, it's a woman. And I was 17 years old. So really it's a girl.
Yes.
Right? And I came out on stage and Muhammad Ali was on the front row because he liked magic. So I said, I'll get him. I thought to myself. So I said, could you come help me? So Muhammad Ali comes up on stage and I pretend I don't know who he is. I say, hi, my name's Lisa. What's your name? The audience laughed a lot. And then he said, oh, my name's Joe Frazier, who's the man who beat him. Yeah. And everybody laughed again. And I shook his hand and I said, gosh, Joe, you sure do have big hands. So I did my little thing. And Muhammad Ali knew I knew who he was, right? But the audience didn't know. And he was very smart and very kind. He would set me up he would start make a statement that he knew I could make a good joke about, but he wouldn't make the joke. He would let me make the joke so that everybody gave me the credit. So it was a very funny program.
That's greatness also.
Yeah, that's greatness, right? And so at the end, I said, Joe, you're the greatest. And he said, no, Lisa, you're the greatest. And he sat down, and David Copperfield was in the audience, and I had written to him and asked him to my prom. I had his poster in my room. Oh, David. And he stood up and he gave me a standing ovation, and the whole audience stood up and gave me a standing ovation. And I'd never met magicians before. And I'd been doing magic for 10 years in my little town, so I was good at it. And from there, I got invited to Japan, to England, to Germany to do television. So it started my life.
Thank you very much for sharing your story, for being here, and honestly, it's very inspiring. We are sure this will inspire people to follow their dreams.
And the name of this hostel is?
Achalay.
Achalay, which means satisfied. And I have to say, you will be satisfied. It's a lovely hostel. And you can tell that the people who work here are respected. They're delighted to be here. There's fresh air. There's lots of room. The kitchen is clean. And there's music. Stay here.
Chao, chao, hasta luego. Cualquier cosa, recuerden, vamos, el canal de Lisa para seguir, empiecen a seguir, suscríbanse y sigan sus sueños. Chao, chao.